President Trump took another victory lap on the Mueller report today, and now that he's done battling the special counsel, he has retrained his sights on a familiar foe, tweeting, quote, "The mainstream media is under fire, being scorned all over the world as being corrupt and fake. For 2 years, they pushed the Russian collusion delusion when they always knew there was no collusion. They truly are the enemy of the people and the real opposition party. Ba, ba, ba." But while the president won't forgive the media anytime soon, speculation running high that he could pardon several individuals caught up in the Mueller probe. Among them, Paul Manafort, Mike Flynn, and former campaign aide George Papadopoulos. Earlier tonight on Fox News, Martha McCallum asked Papadopoulos about that. Watch.
Do you think you're going to get a pardon from President Trump?
I have no idea. I have no expectation for it. I know my lawyers have formally applied for one, and if I'm granted one, it would be a tremendous honor. And of course,
you already spent 12 days in federal prison, which I'm sure was not a picnic, but you'd like to have that off your record.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I definitely would.
I got 12 days. All right, Democrats continue to push for the release of the Mueller report, and there's still talk of impeaching the president because apparently some people don't know how to quit when they're behind. Are they still in a position to make any more demands? Here with me now, the Strategic Communications Director for the Trump 2020 campaign, Marc is back. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
So Louisiana Senator John Kennedy was like, hey, man, just move on. You won. Now, don't be a meathead. I think he used the term meathead, which I really appreciate. How should the president handle this?
I think he's going to call out the media and the Democrats for lying to the American people for 2 years. Let's remember, you had people going on mainstream media actually accusing the president of being an operative of Russia. They were proven dead wrong, and now they don't even have the temerity to reflect on what they have just done to the American people, mislead them. And it's really just a shame. I mean, we should just call these networks what they are. All about collusion, nothing but collusion, the collusion broadcasting system, and the Clinton News Network.
So let's talk about Adam Schiff a little bit, because he's still running with that narrative. He did not get the Barr memo, and if he did, he's completely ignoring it, which I think is very interesting. It's like the guy who's been the subject of an intervention and drives straight to the bar. Should Adam Schiff step down as chair of the House Intelligence Committee?
I don't see how you can continue serving on a committee about intelligence when you've shown such lack of intelligence over the last 2 years, using your position and your access to classified information and supposedly misleading people into something that we all know not to be true. Whether the voters in his district will hold him accountable is one thing, but his fellow members should say that he's embarrassed the United States Congress, he's embarrassed that committee, and the 2 years of lies to the American people must be held to account.
He doesn't want to hold anything to account, which is interesting. And my advice for Democrats, especially in the House, is if you think you have the president on something, it is always the responsibility of Congress to investigate such things. Make sure you've got it before you go after it, because if Democrats go for another round of confirmation bias, they're going to lose. Not only they could lose their majority in the House with some fickle voters, they could also easily erode all of their chances of gaining back the White House in 2020. And I guess that's what Nancy Pelosi is weighing. You know, it's a cost-benefit analysis. It's really easy to raise money from a rabid base on impeachment emails that you send out, but the cost could be that you spend all your political capital and you don't have anyone supporting you in 2020 when the impeachment rally falls apart.
And I think that's one of the reasons why the president was elected in 2016 was because he was cutting through all the political speak of saying one thing and not doing anything when you got to Washington, D.C. The American people are tired of being lied to, not just about collusion, but just about the things that people are going to be doing in Washington, D.C. He promised to take action. And so I would think at some point the Democrats would see that their best chance of being reelected is working with this president. Try to do things on infrastructure. Try to work with him to improve trade deals like the old NAFTA, which Democrats railed against for many, many years. But so far they have shown nothing but resistance. And I think when the president is actually on the ballot in 2020 and you have a lot of vulnerable freshmen who won seats that the president carried, they're going to find themselves in a very difficult position to explain a do-nothing Congress that did nothing but lie to us for 2 years.
And people are absolutely over it. You know, if it's not identity politics, it's resistance, and people want to benefit their own bottom line. Democrats aren't offering that right now, and Nancy Pelosi is coming out pretty forcefully saying we either got to walk or chew gum. Can't do both, and the chewing the gum has got to go. Marc Lauder, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kennedy.